Hey there, welcome back to another review. This time it is a review of the film 21, as requested by YouTuber Predominator. Now, 21 is a film that I had heard about, but never got around to seeing, because I was legitimately curious about this one, because I thought the true story that it's based on about these MIT students who banded together with the help of their teacher to essentially beat the house at the casinos with a game of blackjack by counting cards. I thought that was somewhat interesting. And at the end of the day, the idea is kind of interesting, but I just thought this was okay. I thought this was just a decent film. I personally feel that this is, at best, a time waster for me. I wasn't really that in love with this one. Like, this is a movie that there were things about it that I did like, and I'm glad I saw it because of that. But I just felt the story, especially the script, I thought the script could have been written better, especially with how the characters are portrayed and how a lot of them don't really have a lot of backstory to them. A lot of them don't really have any character development except for the bare minimum. And so I just there was a lot of the movie where I just felt like, why should I care? And it didn't do a good job making me care about what happened, or it was just one of those things that's like, oh, a bunch of rich, entitled MIT students who want to become richer and even more entitled. It was like, oh, rich MIT students in their quest to become richer. It's just one of those things that's like, do I really give a shit if this guy makes it to Harvard? I mean, that's just the kind of... That's what the drama is not very effective. The counting card aspect of it is effective. The drama aspect of it is not effective at all. I would have honestly liked it more if they just went all out with the whole, you know what, this is just all about people just trying to beat the house and earn some money. I would have preferred that. Like, instead of this just back and forth drama with, oh, the lead guy, he's falling out with his friends. Oh, he's getting addicted to it, and he's changing his personality, and so on. It's just one of those, it's like, it got a little bit too tired and predictable near the end, and that definitely did hurt the film for me. But I liked the ending. I liked the ending. I thought it was a nice double cross, and I really did appreciate that. Overall, like I said, it's not a bad film. It's not a film that I personally feel like it's worth ranting about. Like, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either, and I wouldn't even say if I really liked it. I just thought it was okay. I thought it was a decent, so-so movie. 21 is directed by Robert Luketic, or Luketic. This is a director who, before this, really didn't do anything that was like this type of film. I mean, before he did this, he did Monster-in-Law, and Win a Date with Tad Hamilton, and Legally Blonde. And, yeah, you could kind of tell. Like, his direction, I felt, was a little bit flat at times, especially when you have scenes where you have any kind of interaction between the characters. The film looks slick and stylish, but I don't think the director is the reason for that. As you can see, when you have scenes where there's just characters talking to each other or in one room with each other, it's just very stilted and static, and the camera doesn't move that much, and it's the bare minimum type of direction for that kind of thing. But there are a lot of shots in this that I thought were really great looking in terms of cinematography, and I think that goes to Russell Carpenter, and that makes sense. This is a guy who's done, like, a ton of movies. He was the cinematographer for Titanic. He was the cinematographer for Hard Target. He was the cinematographer for True Lies. He was the cinematographer for the Charlie's Angels films, The Negotiator. He also was the cinematographer for Monster-in-Law, but yeah, he's done a lot of stuff. He was even the cinematographer for Cameron's Closet and The Perfect Weapon, as well as Lady in White. So this is a cinematographer who's very talented, and it shows. Like, there are a lot of scenes in this that could easily be dull, but are actually a lot of fun to watch because of the cinematography and the editing by Elliot Graham. The editor and the cinematographer work together and do a brilliant job making these sequences of people playing cards and so on really an enthralling thing to watch because of how the camera angles are used, and how the slow motion effect is used, and how all these other sort of things are used. So, some of my highest praise goes to Russell Carpenter and Elliot Graham for their work in the film. It's written by Peter Steinfeld and Alan Loeb, and it's based on the book Bringing Down the House, which is based on a true story. The book is by Ben Mesrick. Now, the true story is a lot different, though, in terms of the nationalities of the people who are a part of the MIT team. In the true story, the lead character is an Asian man. And so it's one of those things where this film had a lot of controversy when it came out for whitewashing, and I can understand why. But at the same time, the filmmakers were like, we could not find a bankable Asian star who would agree to be in the film. So that was one of those compromises they had to make. And even the Asian man who is the basis for the main character, even he's like, I would have been more offended if they just cast some Korean guy or somebody that isn't from my particular nationality in the role. So it's one of those things where it wasn't really that big of a deal to me, but I can see why it'd be a big deal for other people. The script, though, I don't know. I've never read the book Bringing Down the House, so I don't know what is real and what isn't. But I'd have to think that the whole subplot with his friends, who are these nerdy guys who are trying to win a robotic competition, and they have a falling out later when the lead's personality changes. I would think that is just something that was scripted, and if not, like that sounds too good to be true for a true story. And a lot of the other sort of dramatic elements didn't actually happen, and that might be to the story's benefit. If some of the weakest aspects of this film's plot didn't actually happen, then they should have never happened in the film to begin with. But I don't know for sure because I've never read the book. Now, the cast in this, it's effective. Jim Sturgess plays Ben Campbell. Jim Sturgess is an interesting guy and an interesting performance. I wouldn't call it terrible, but I don't really see anything great about it. That's the thing with his performance. His performance in this as Ben Campbell it's there. It's decent. It's mediocre at best. There's really nothing about it that really stands out. Kevin Spacey plays Professor Mickey Rosa, who is essentially the villain of the film, and he does a great job with the role. And he's definitely a villain now, that's for sure. And I'm not even going to go in depth on that. Originally, I guess Jeff Bridges was considered for that role, and I could see Jeff Bridges in that role. But Kevin Spacey does a good job playing an asshole, and it was perfect for this type of character. Kate Bosworth is in this as Jill Taylor. She's absolutely drop-dead gorgeous in this and smoking hot, but her character, there's nothing to her. She's the love interest for Ben Campbell, played by Jim Sturgess, and she's a member of the MIT blackjack team. And that's really all her character is. You don't really get to know that much about her at all, except she also goes to MIT. And that's too bad, because I thought Kate Bosworth, her performance was actually quite good, but she had a great presence to her in this, unlike in Superman Returns, because this is a role that she's actually fit for. She wasn't fit for Lois Lane. She was way too young for that character. But it's just one of those things where it seems like she's just there to be eye candy. It's some really nice looking eye candy, but it's still just eye candy. Laurence Fishburne plays Cole Williams. He's one of the best things about the film, one of the best characters. He's essentially this guy who works at a casino who's trying to make sure everything's on the up and up. People weren't cheating, counting cards isn't going on, and so on. And he has a history with Kevin Spacey's character Mickey. Aaron Yu plays Choi, who is he's just one of the Asians in the group who just likes to steal stuff. That's it. And he's like kind of the comic relief. That's all this character is. There's nothing to that guy. Jacob Pitts plays Fisher, and he's just this guy who is cocky, and you can see what's going to happen with this character coming a mile away. You could just look at the way the guy's acting. You're like, this guy's a loose cannon. He's going to go off. He's going to get drunk one time and ruin things, and then he's going to get kicked off. And that's exactly what happened. I'm surprised he didn't try to double-cross everybody. It's just one of those things. It's like that character is so predictable. Jack McGee plays a character named Terry. I believe that's one of his friends, Ben's friends, nerdy friends. Josh Gad has an early role as Miles Connolly, another nerdy friend of Ben. Their performances are okay. It's just nothing really that spectacular, or I was just pretty indifferent on them. Liza Lapria plays Kiana, another just Asian of the group who is just there, and I don't even know what her role is. She's supposed to be in a disguise at the end of the movie to try to make sure that the casino heads aren't going to spot her and the rest of the team, and she doesn't do anything. She just wears the same disguise and the same clothes that she wore before. Aaron Yu's character, Choi, doesn't do much either. It's like the only time anybody gets in any kind of disguise at the end is Kevin Spacey, Kate Bosworth, like she has like a different hairstyle and a different hair color, and Jim Sturgess. But like the other two are just like looking like like they normally do, even though their faces have been collected by this database, and the casino was looking for them. Yeah, Jeff Ma is the young man, the man who's the story is based upon. Jeff Ma, he's actually in this in a cameo as a dealer in the Planet Hollywood casino named Jeff. Now that's your cast, and like I said, there's a couple members of the cast that really do a great job. But you have a lead who's just like, you're just, like, that's the problem. Jim Sturgess is just, he's not that compelling of a lead. And his story, it's like, I don't really give a shit. I really don't. Oh, this guy who's going to MIT and has everything in front of him, has a perfect GPA. Oh, he can't afford the money to go to Harvard Medical School. So, oh, woe is him. He can't afford the money to get to. He can't afford $300,000, more money than I will probably ever see in my life. He can't afford to see He can't afford $300,000 to go to Harvard Medical School. So he's gonna join this secret clandestine group of blackjack card players, who are also students, who are led by their teacher, their math teacher, Mickey, played by Kevin Spacey. And it's just like, oh, he's going to try to raise the $300,000 so he can pay for college. And he's like, oh, that's all I'm doing. Like, as soon as I do that, like, I'm done. And then he's not done. It's not going to happen. So, of course, that's not what happens. The only thing that gives him any joy in his life is winning, so he becomes addicted to that and then starts gambling, loses a shit ton of money, gets on the bad side of Kevin Spacey and other people, and then ultimately, in the end of the film, gets his ass kicked by Laurence Fishburne, has an ace up his sleeve, and knows that Laurence Fishburne's character is trying to capture Mickey because he's been hunting him for years. So he leads him to him, and he thinks, everything's going to be okay. He's going to make the money, and he's going to do this, and everything's going to be fine. And that doesn't happen. And then everything works out for him in the end anyway. Because he goes to the asshole dean at Harvard, who was in the beginning, he talked to in the beginning of the film, who's all like, well, I need a story that dazzles me. All this stuff you're telling me about isn't very compelling. It doesn't dazzle me. You know who I gave the scholarship to last year? An Asian man who had who had a one leg. And so he, at the end of the film, he just says the story about what happened, about how he was doing this secret blackjack thing, and he made all this money and lost all this money and got beat up by a fixer and blah 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 blah. And then he's like, all right, I'm dazzled. And he gets the scholarship. It's just one of those, it's like, yay, good for Ben, I guess. I mean, it's just, no offense to Predominator who requested this one. It's just one of those films that I guess it just wasn't my particular cup of tea at the end of the day. I didn't hate it. I thought it was okay. It was worth watching at least once for Laurence Fishburne, for the lovely Kate Bosworth. And I did like seeing the scenes with the blackjack and so on. But I guess it's one of those things where your enjoyment in this film really depends upon whether or not you relate to the main character, or also whether or not you really care about card games. Like, are you big into blackjack? Then you'd probably like the movie. But if you're not, you're like, this isn't really that. I love the camera work and I like the editing and the cinematography, but it's still not that exciting to me. It's still just cards. It's one of those things where I get more enjoyment out of the card playing scene in Casino Royale, or the humorous card playing blackjack sequences in Vegas Vacation. A whole movie centered around that just seems a bit flimsy. It's like a deck of cards, and it just kind of falls apart. But like I said, there are some good things. The main thing, the most compelling character is the bad guy. That's an issue. When the most compelling character is the asshole teacher who's using everybody, that's an issue. And that goes to the screenplay for sure. That goes right to the script. That falls right at the screenwriter's feet right there. But yeah, it's one of those films where if it sounds interesting to you, I'd say check it out. Maybe you'll like it more than me. But yeah, it's average. It's an average, decent movie. It's nothing spectacular. It's nothing terrible though. So I mean, there's that. There's definitely a lot worse ways you can spend your time. I think another issue I have with it is its pacing. It just takes way too long to get going. And I think a big part of that is because you have these characters who aren't that compelling, especially your lead. And then you have the drama, which is honestly not very dramatic, and not very effective. And that just makes the film just feel like it's just going through the motions throughout its over 2-hour running time. I think it was too long too. This did not need to be 2 hours. This should have been like a quick, breezy hour and 30, hour and 40 minutes. It didn't need the extra 20 or so minutes. That was completely unnecessary. So, but hey, you know, a lot of critics like this one. It made a decent amount of money at the box office. It made $157.9 million on a $35 million budget. So, it didn't do too bad for itself. But, yeah, those are my thoughts on 21. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and as always, I will see you guys later. See ya.